Speeds for free when you get TV, internet, and phone. Ask for Trio from Rev.
Join the revolution. Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the latest on the Nassau Village infant injured Wednesday night. But first,
the Progressive Liberal Party ratifies 2 more candidates for the 2017 general election. That story straight ahead on our news.
What does it take to bring the magic back to Grand Bahama? And a Bahamian academic plans to make a huge impact. Welcome to our news. I'm Christina McNeil. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, as the 2017 general election approaches, the Progressive Liberal Party moves closer to ratifying its full slate of hopefuls for the general election. Our Simone Davis was at PLP headquarters last night and filed this report.
2 straight was the theme tonight for the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald as the Education Minister was ratified for the Marathon constituency for the 2nd time. Meantime, the Minister of State for Finance, Michael Halkitis, was ratified for the Golden Isles area again. In accepting the nomination, Fitzgerald declared that now is the time to put purpose over politics.
You all know we in that time now. We in that time now. No time for no prisoners. No retreat. No surrender. Now, you know now, I keep telling everyone, I don't bother with nobody. But don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. And don't mess with the PLP.
And with the constitutional referendum just weeks away, the Marathon MP encouraged his supporters to vote yes on June 7th, indicating that his party would never present a referendum to Bahamians that would open the door for same-sex marriage in the country.
I want all persons here and all under the sound of my voice to vote yes on referendum day. There's nothing in this dealing with marriage. Marriage will be preserved as it always has been. Anybody else who says anything else, talking foolishness.
Halkitis, on the other hand, used the platform to announce the work that is being done in his constituency. Halkitis also had this message for Bahamians when it comes to the possibility of a coalition between the Free National Movement and the Democratic National Alliance.
This newspaper headline. Brown open to FNM coalition. Sidney Colley, the chairman of the FNM. Coalition is a good idea. What these newspaper headlines are telling us, PLPs, is what we knew all along. But it's being confirmed. The DNA and the FNM are one.
Last month, former Minister of Education and Attorney General Alfred Sayers was ratified for Fort Charlotte, and Minister of Social Services Melanie Griffin was ratified to run again in Yamacraw. Reporting for our news, I'm Simone Davis.
Thanks, Simone. Well, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis dismissing talks of a Free National Movement Democratic National Alliance coalition, telling our news he doubts the 2 parties can make it work. Giorgio Bain reports.
The Deputy Prime Minister responds to a possible opposition coalition.
I think their biggest nightmare is the PLP and our trek to victory in the next general election. And that is their nightmare because they are asleep.
FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis did not dismiss the idea of a coalition, but said that before that could happen, the DNA leader must drop his bombastic, arrogant attitude. However, Davis was unfazed, insisting he doubts the 2 parties can make it work.
For it to become a nightmare, we have to fall asleep. And I'm not going to fall asleep, not at our wheel. And so I don't know that I could have a nightmare without falling asleep to dream. That is their dream.
Davis said the work that the PLP has done over the past 4 years will speak for itself.
We think that once we put to the Bahamian people what we have done, are doing, and intend to do, and the road on which we have the country going now, we think that the Bahamian people would re-elect us, regardless of how the opposition may may come together or not come together.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Thanks, Giorgio. Meanwhile, another senior member of the Free National Movement has come out in support of a proposed FNM DNA coalition. Vonique Toot reports.
Though the idea of an FNM DNA coalition has been met with mixed reactions, newly appointed FNM Senator Dr. Dwayne Sands says naysayers shouldn't be so quick to dismiss the DNA as a brand.
So let us talk. I can assure you that if the opposition forces come to a reasonable coalition or agreement, that it will strike fear into the heart of Perry Christie and his merry men.
The PLP secured 48.6% of the vote in the 2012 general election, while the FNM received 42.1% and the DNA secured 8.5%. Sands says both the FNM and DNA have something to offer, and together could be a tough opponent.
The brand of the Free National Movement is a strong brand. It is associated with trust. It is associated with transparency and accountability. The DNA, they have managed to appeal to a significant number of individuals in the community, and I don't believe that there's any need to dismiss them as an organization.
DNA leader Branville McCartney predicted a coalition would be the governing party's worst nightmare. FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis said he's open to discussing it but isn't sure how a coalition would work. Well, Sands says, let's talk.
Certainly, I don't believe that it is impossible for us to find common ground on which to work at solving the problems of the Bahamas. And so I applaud and agree with the principle. I think the devil is in the details, and certainly conversation, negotiation, and agreement or compromise.
Reporting for our news, I'm Vonique Toot.
Thanks, Vonique. In other news, the 2016 Atlantic hurricane season is just 2 weeks away, and hurricane shelters are being brought up to speed. The National Emergency Management Agency hosted an in-depth training on disaster management and interpersonal needs during hurricanes. Registered nurse Felicia Turnquest explains the process.
Specifically, we have at least 2 members from the College of the Bahamas, and the reason for them being here, they have resident students internationally and locally, and they need to know how to manage their shelter if disaster or hurricane strikes, and those residents are there. They need to know what to do with them, how to manage their safety, and this is what we are doing here, concluding here this morning.
NEMA caught a lot of flack over the preparation and availability of hurricane shelters during Hurricane Joaquin last October. NEMA Operations Training Officer Luke Bethel says there's no question on NEMA's preparedness for the upcoming hurricane season.
And what's happening now, we're just certifying a fresh crew of persons from the Department of Social Services. They are the lead agency. They're on a good venture. They intend to certify the whole ministry, entire ministry. And what has happened, we have the pool now, existing pool in New Providence.
Our news will have all the details you need to prepare for the 2016 Atlantic hurricane season. In other news, our news can report that the infant who was injured in a suspected carbon monoxide leak that left a couple dead yesterday is alive and well. The infant has been identified as Dior Williams. Her parents, Roberto Williams and Dominique Sims, tell our news that Dior is alive and progressing. The family says it would like to thank members of the public for their prayers during this difficult time, coping with the loss of Brady and Princess Sims. Still to come, a look at the effectiveness of CCTV in fighting crime, but first.
Civic organizations band together to demand freedom of information. That story is coming up.